Hello, everybody. Okay, things are ready and seem okay. I'm going to open beer number one, a fin du monde beer. I hope it's not frozen. It was in the freezer, but it shouldn't be frozen. If it is, it's like, whoa. But I don't think it is. It's just at the edge, which means it's really cold, which is really nice. Here we go, guys. Beer number one. Got a 6-pack. They actually redesigned it a little bit. The fonts are not the same and a little bit of a difference there. So it's kind of cool. So a little 6-pack of that. Guess I'll have some today and I'll have some for the next show. So hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. Hope everybody's all right. And here we go. So welcome aboard. This is the Shortwave radio show in a pretty warm afternoon in Montreal. It's at 28 Celsius, but with the humidex, it's about 33-ish. And tomorrow's supposed to be 34 Celsius, and the humidex will bring it almost to 40 degrees Celsius. So it's going to be hot, muggy, and one of those days that you have two choices: and go to the beach or the swimming pool, or stay home in the air conditioning with the radio. So welcome, everyone. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. We talk about radio here, shortwave radio mainly, but radio of all sorts, and I hope that you will enjoy the show today. We have had, of course, an interesting week with radio related to radio. I went to Visitation Island, so I was able to go there to enjoy some radio outdoors. It was a lot of fun with the Texan H501X, which is a big radio to bring along on the expedition. I got to tell you that. And, all sorts of little things here and there. It was fun yesterday when I caught the double Russian number station, the Morse code and XPA2 at the same time with two different radios. It's kind of cool to hear that. Just using the telescopic antenna shows you that these are pretty powerful transmissions, because they make it real well here. And if you consider that they come out of Moscow, Russia vicinity, some say it might be more like St. Petersburg. They pack a really good signal, I gotta tell you that. So anyways, welcome aboard, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show today. There's a chat room where you can join and say hi and have wonderful people chatting along, some asking questions and all sorts of things. So it's really cool to see that we have a wonderful bunch of people that are respectful and just want to have fun with others with radio. It's a solitary hobby, so when we can gather along, be together, and talk about radio, I think it's pretty cool. And of course, when all of this is over, there's a Facebook group, which is the group official SWL channel, where that continues and people are just having fun sharing what they're listening to. And there's a big silent majority in the group because there's a lot of people there, but there's more than 1,700 members. And I would say that, only a small percentage of them actually do post. I would guess the other big chunk of people are watching and maybe, learning and checking out what people are listening to and gathering the info. But don't be shy. This is a great place for everybody, even if you're new to the hobby. So do not be shy. Do join and have fun with us because it is a great place for that. And definitely this is where it all happens. And it's Saturday, June the 5th, 2021. Incredible that we're starting June. 3 weeks from now, roughly, we're going to be at the summer solstice already. Longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. Definitely, we're in summer propagation for shortwave radio. So that means, what does that mean? Summer propagation, especially if you live in northern latitudes where the days are long, nights are more short and shorter. Basically, expect that midday isn't great. That's typical of summer. Summer, from like local time about 10, 11 a.m. all the way up to maybe 2 p.m. Kind of that little spot where unless, you'll hear some local stuff, you'll hear some strong stations not that far away, but you're not going to hear much DX at that moment. Solar absorption is high in the summer, especially because of the sun being very, very high in the sky. Midday, there's a lot of absorption and signals tend to be weaker. So it's not the best day and the best time. And that's important to know because, somebody that's new to the hobby and turns on his radio at noon on a sunny summer day might say, wow, there's nothing on shortwave. Well, it's because of that time that you chose to listen to. And as the afternoon goes by, starting at 2, 3 p.m., you start slowly getting a little more signals. 25, 31 meter bands slowly comes alive. Lots of signals coming out of Europe, also in Africa with relays, with the Voice of America relays, and a lot of stations that are out there. When I was at Visitation Island, I could see the pattern of how, as the afternoon goes by, and we go to 2, 3, 4 p.m. in the afternoon, you suddenly have more and more signals on the 31, 25 meter band. 19 meter band isn't too bad. And then, of course, it'll progress at the 49, 41 meter band as we get closer to the evening. But definitely the midday part is to avoid most of the time on summer days, long summer days. Not like in the winter. In the winter, the short days, the absorption is not as high. So there's kind of always a little something that might pop up at almost any time of day, even midday. But in the summer, it's brutal. It's the midday is the worst part of the listening hobby. What's nice also is the propagation. Like there's a lot of the 20 meter band is open 24 hours pretty much. Last night I was hearing a ham from Italy making contacts, and it was about 3:30 UT on the 20 meter band, 14,200 something. And the guy over there was like 5 a.m, something like that. And he was talking how he was an early riser and liked to make ham contacts when he woke up in the morning. And man, he was packing a good signal, and on 14 megahertz. So this is cool. Radio New Zealand was pretty good last night on 13840. So it's nice to have some cool summer propagation among us. You got to enjoy it because, summer, especially in places like Montreal, summer isn't that long, actually. We already get back into cooler weather early September. One of the things that has changed, and I guess global warming has a big impact on this. We have a tendency to have much warmer summers in Montreal and across Canada. and summers that actually extend a lot more. They were saying that September is now almost a summer month because we tend to have some really warm weather even in September. Where, when I was a teenager, I remember that late August, you started to have some really chilly nights, and things were definitely changing. We see less than that of that, and now it's more of a it's like pushed September where the temperatures really start to drop. Same for the spring. I've been a big biker for like 30 years, and one of the things that is different from my younger teenage years as a biker is that before April, it was pretty much impossible to bring out the bike. There's still a lot of snow. Lately, in the last 10, 15 years, we bring out the bike in March. And unless we have that late March snowstorm that sometimes happen, um, mid-March, we already have no more snow on the ground. It's crazy. Things are definitely changing, and the weather patterns are definitely changing. We're also having a lot more very hot, extreme heat waves. Last year was brutal with heat waves where we reached 36, 35 Celsius in July, and that's without the humidex. With the humidex was above 40, and the nights were like really hot. These are things that we would see from time to time in the past. We now almost see it every summer now. So definitely things are changing, and happy to have air conditioning. I can tell you that. I look at people that don't have the money to pay for that, and I'm like, oh man, must be horrible to when the heat wave hits, and sweat. I remember, when I was young, we didn't have air conditioning. I mean, in the 80s, air conditioning was not something you'd see a lot here. Air conditioning units, first of all, were much more expensive than today. Today, they're actually for $100, you get a small air conditioner for one room, which is amazing today. But back in the 80s, forget it. They were expensive units, and not a lot of people had them, actually. And I still remember in the good old days when summer, warm days in Montreal where we could just sleep all the doors open. That's how safe Montreal was in the 80s. You could literally sleep all the doors open, and nothing would ever happen. And today, it's not that it's that dangerous, but I wouldn't see myself leaving the door in the back open while I'm sleeping. Although I'll admit that sometimes Paul the cat wants to go out in the middle of the night. I'll sometimes leave the door open for an hour and a half. And I'm thinking, well, if somebody's there, I'm probably going to hear it. But and of course the fence down the backyard, the fence is locked. So if you come over, you'll have to actually climb the fence because it's locked. So I guess that also possibly lowers the risk, although it's not a zero risk. But it wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't sleep like we did in the 80s today. I mean, back then it was truly we just leave all the doors open and let the air flow at night when it's hot. Was crazy. Same time that you could just leave your bike outside, nobody would touch it, and then suddenly one day you couldn't leave your bike outside; it would disappear mysteriously. So things have really changed over time, which is sad because when you think of those times in the way back, and you're like, oh, these were good old days. You could just wouldn't matter. You'd leave something outside. Somebody would actually knock and tell you, hey, I think you forgot that bag. It's like, today it's like, you take the bag and run. But it's not. Montreal is still a pretty safe place, though. Montreal is an amazing city for safety. We have a little more problems than we used to, but overall, I think it's still a darn safe place where, I don't feel you guys that know the story, I got attacked for my wallet and my phone, last year and a half. What you've got to understand is, so that happened, but it didn't remove my safety or feeling of, if I go out of the bar and come back home walking at 3 a.m, I don't have a fear of coming back alone at 3 a.m. Of course, like anything, there's always a possibility, but still not too bad. Anyways, so we'll be doing probably at that temperature, and lots of things happening this week. There's some things that are going to be done here at the house that I have to stay here because some people are going to come over. So that means that pretty much going to do some radio and the air conditioning and stuff like that. Welcome, everyone. And my name is Joel. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America, for those that wonder. Bobby Burgess, WA5107 SWL in Morgan City, Louisiana, USA. Nice to have you here. Magazine 1976. Nice to have you on board from West Michigan. That's probably what's coming here. East WA8115 SWL. David in Barcelona, Spain, EA3 IEK, EA4498. 4998 URE SWL. Como está, mi amigo? Rob in Phoenix, Arizona, 98 Fahrenheit over there. RJ Dakota, nice to have you here from Missouri. WA0113 SWL. We have Archer's Outer Crafters Kitchen. Nice to have you on board from Hot, Massachusetts. My record dealer has a recapped Panasonic RF2200 up for sale. I have one, so I asked him what he's looking for it. He was spot on. Thrilled to see one in the store. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. These are nice radios. Jay Dakota says he used to have a Panasonic RF2200. Great radio. Like the mechanical band spread. They are so nice. I mean, these old radios are beautiful. Salut TVDXer. J'espère que ça va bien et que tu te prépares pour les températures estivales dans les prochains jours. Toujours un plaisir de t'avoir avec nous. Nice to have you on board. Just outside of Montreal, Andrew Simpson, nice to have you on board from England. Milky Chen, nice to have you on board. What is the best radio to cut down noise? Technically, noise is more of an antenna thing than a radio thing, but there are, in terms of SDRs, software-defined receivers and things like that, they do have noise reduction functionalities that help. But remember that if you live in a harsh, tough environment, in the noise level is very high where you are, no radio is gonna, whatever radio you choose, it's all gonna be noisy, and that's where the biggest noise help that you can have is at the antenna level. You may be having like a magnetic loop antenna, like the MLA30, which does help mitigate noise. Like I said, it's not a miracle antenna, but it, for noisy environments, kind of brings back part of your radio listening, for sure. Jeff Williams, nice to have you on board from Cornwall, UK. Like the show. Thank you very much for being here. And RJ Dakota recently bought the new PL330. It's very nice for such an inexpensive radio, very sensitive, like the ETM Plus feature. The hourly ETM is very useful. Yeah, it is a very nice add-on to ETM, for sure. By the way, somebody posted a comment on my channel today. If you guys are buying a PL330, they now have a new version number. So, like I was saying, you need at least the version 3305 Apparently now the new ones coming out are at 3306. So they might have fixed a few little things that were left to fix. So if you guys buy one, try to find the 3306 firmware version now. Charlie, W8CFO, nice to have you on board from Columbus, Ohio. Mark, nice to have you on board from a 95-degree hot Milwaukee. Jared EX, nice to have you here. Richard Califano, nice to have you on board from a hot Albany, New York. And yes, we are on the air, David. M1MBZ, nice to have you on board from the west of England. RJDA Dakota says it's a small portable, so I think that is about average. That it's about average. A good antenna for it is very important. Christian Marcoux, salut. J'espère que tu vas bien. Nice to have you on board from Ontario, North Bay, Ontario. Is it North Bay, I think? Bob, nice to have you on board from upstate of South Carolina. Sounds cooler the further south you get. Kind of interesting. It's like a reversed world. It's kind of bizarre. Darren, nice to have you here. Charles Williams, nice to have you on board from San Diego. Hi, Brawler, nice to have you on board, my friend. Hope everybody is all right. So where was I? Was here, located in Michigan today. Says I Brawler. PLF Radio, bonjour et bienvenue. J'espère que ça va bien depuis Lyon en France et que la température est bonne, est belle et pas trop chaude, pas trop froide non plus. Et que les choses se replacent avec le déconfinement. Nice to have you here, PLF Radio from France. Brad in Amarillo, nice to have you on board. Keegan, XN80Xer from Northwest Arkansas. 83 Fahrenheit, cloudy. Paul says, should I click on YouTube Premium trial? Well, YouTube Premium is giving you different options. YouTube Premium removes the ads, first of all, so you have no more ads on any videos. And if you pay for it, and it gives you some extra possibilities that you can use. And when you actually are on YouTube Premium, every time you watch one of my videos, the monetization, a little chunk of that YouTube Premium subscription comes back to me. Tristan, nice to have you on board from Newfoundland, Canada. Galikon Nostrovia from New York. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Terry Cook, nice to have you here. KF7BQ from Western Montana. Randy, Riverside, California. Nice to have you here. Niels Peterson, nice to have you here from Sweden. Always cool to have you on board, my friend. Shortwave listener, nice to have you here from Bolton, UK. 16 Celsius and cloudy now. Mike Jam, nice to have you here. David says hello. KE6EX in Chicago. What do you think about Ethon receivers? Ethon receivers is a hit or a miss, and it depends really on the model that you're getting, because they have great radios. There are some models that are amazingly good, but they have crappy models also. So Ethon is really, if you are looking at a specific model, and I think the best thing to do is ask, okay, I'm looking at an Ethon S350. Is that a good radio? Give us a model number. It'll be better because we'll be able to say, oh yeah, that's a good one, or that is one to avoid, or here are the drawbacks of this or that model. Because they have good stuff, but they have very average to crappy stuff also. So it really depends on the model number of the radio. Operation Radio forgot to push the record button for those Russian stations, so I only heard them. See, that was fun yesterday when I heard that the double number stations first time. And one thing that is very interesting I talk about it in the video. So if you guys tune a number station that you see on the website Preom, I'm going to show you the website here on the tablet. So Preom is the best place, for this. So by the way, I just want to say, because I got emails here coming in. Elizabeth is saying hello from Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, and she is enjoying the show and saying hello to all radio friends around the world. And we have Richard Limke that is also saying hello. Nice to have you on board. He says Flash Gordon on 5800 kilohertz at 02 UTC yesterday. Hello, Jill and Shortwave hobbyists. Cooler weather, some lightning somewhere, 18 to 20 Celsius. Have a great show. Cool, Richard. Nice to have you on board as usual, and hope that you enjoy the show today. So we'll check the email from time to time. For those that are not in the chat room or cannot be, you can send a little hello via email at official shortwave radio. All the words, official shortwave radio at gmail.com. And say hi and say where you're located. And we're going to check the email from time to time. So Preom, for those that are wondering where we get information, I got a lot of that, by the way, from a lot of people like, how do you know that is from Russia? How do you know this is from, well, Preom is the website to go to. So this is what Preom looks like as a website. And so what you have is you have schedules of number stations. But the best part is that if you tune in, it tells you the next number stations coming up, which is kind of cool. So for example, it says that in 32 minutes, we can try M12, which is the Morse code number station on 11144. And HM01 is going to be here from Cuba on 16180, and F06A, which is the radio teletype one, on 19166. So you can check regularly this website and see what's coming up. And also, not just that, they have so much information on all the stations. If you're not sure if you're listening to the right thing, they have audio clips of what they sound like. And if you don't hear them, when you click on one of the number stations in the list that is coming up, what it does, it brings you to an SDR online. And that SDR is, of course, where you can possibly get this station. So this is cool. So it always chooses a SDR not too far from the location of the number station. So if you're not sure if it's broadcasting or not, you can actually click on it and hear it from an SDR closer. If you hear it there, you don't hear it at home. That means you're not hearing it. And if you're not hearing it and there's nothing on the SDR, maybe it's not transmitting. Remember that there's a lot of the number stations that aren't listed here. The more I tune the bands, the more I find these mysterious Morse code and signals of all sorts that aren't actually popping up in Preom, to a point where I'm starting to wonder if there's not a subset of number stations. Preom is a set schedule. We know when they are going to be broadcasting, but I think there's a big chunk of number stations that are, we call it the decoding, we call them the one-time pads, because once they decode the encrypted message they're receiving, they're kind of throwing away the pad and they'll have a new one for the next transmission. Well, I think that at the same time that is happening, there's a one-time pad of frequencies. Because the more and more I'm hearing Morse code group letters, for example, on a frequency, you hear it once and you never, ever hear it again. it's almost as if, okay, well, you had the one-time pad, and we're going to give you the one-time frequency when this is going to be. That's never going to be used again. So it adds even more to the secret, because not only now do you not know when do you not know what message they're sending out, you don't even know when they're going to transmit. So it adds even more privacy, I would guess, to the number stations here. So PRIYOM.org. PRIYOM.org is the website, and this is a great resource. And that's where I saw yesterday that the M12 and the XPA2 were transmitting at the same time. So I thought, hey, I'm going to take two radios, each on their frequency, and try it and see if I can hear both. So that was kind of cool. M1FBZ says HF was poor all day here in the UK. Remember that midday is not a good time, eh? If you were listening like at noon or 1 p.m. or local time, these are not good times to listen to in the summer with the long days of summer. It's really more in the late afternoon and evenings that it gets better. Hey, that's true. I forgot. Charity X, thanks for making me realize this. But the BBC Antarctic midwinter broadcast is coming up. Absolutely, we're going to have to check and keep an eye out for that. It's always a fun broadcast to listen to, so we're going to have to check that out. Tom the Xer, WPE2QED. Salut, nice to have you here from the Hudson Valley, New York. Hot, 90 Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to get as temperatures. Right now, we're at 27, so we're upper 80s, mid 80s, I would say. PLF Radio says 6, 4, and 2 meters are open in Europe. Cool. Lots of one thing that I always wondered is that big mass of water that is the Mediterranean. That must really create a very unique path of propagation for like 2 meter band. It's like probably living close to, although the Mediterranean is a salty water mass. I would guess anybody living next to the Great Lakes, that must also bring some very unique propagation on some of these bands, especially the VHF bands over that, the huge body of water that these lakes are. Must be quite interesting. Eric Cottrell, bonjour, hi, nice to have you on board from a hot but not too humid Boston. James Johnson, nice to have you on board. Charity X, hopefully BBC cranks up the juice. Yeah, it's more of it has more to do with the choice of frequencies and also the general direction of the beam. Because I mean, they are pretty powerful transmissions. I think they use like 100, if not 250 kilowatt transmitters. But the problem is they're using some of the frequencies are not that great for North America, first of all. And some of the frequencies and some of the transmissions are really beamed in such a way that it's not necessarily a great beam for North America. David says 6 meters, the magic band. Yep. Jim, nice to have you here from Rhode Island. Like Jim, do I have a tip jar? It's called PayPal. I'll put a beer mug on the screen. Charity X. Yeah, sometimes August can get cool. Absolutely. For the few cold ones, here's the thing. PayPal is the best option, I think. PayPal. You guys want to drop a few pennies to for beer or anything? This is the PayPal. Whoops! Don't use that one. It's no good. I'm just gonna remove it, and we're just gonna do it again. PayPal is. Here we go. That's the PayPal. So if anyone wants to drop a few bucks for beer or whatever, or just chip in for the next radio purchase that will eventually happen, just leave a few, whatever amount is quite all right, and is I want to thank everyone that does so for the donations here. Okay. We have John Lomesny. Nice to have you here from Ireland, John. Spartan, nice to have you on board from a hot West Central Michigan. Other night on 10138, there was a strange musical-like eerie sound changing its tone every few seconds. Any thoughts? 10138, you probably heard some. So that's within the 30-meter amateur radio band. So you might have heard some digital modes used by amateur radio stations, probably. Mikey Chen, 13840 is the only station I can get with the AR 1780 or XH Data D808 in Australia. Noise level too much in my area. Yeah, you have to move out to some other location, or maybe try an MLA 30 loop. Michael Thompson, nice to have you on board from New Jersey. And to NLQ. John Harris, nice to have you on board from Allen, Texas. We have Chris 66, nice to have you here from Kentucky. What else do we have? Carol, nice to have you on board. As he says, we tip through PayPal. Danielle Beller, nice to have you on board. Says hi from Beersheba, Israel. Not much shortwave going on now, but interesting airwave. And Cab's very busy on the narrow FM around 170 megahertz. Cool. Joe Tyson, nice to have you on board from North Carolina, KM4WRQ. SDR is a learning curve for a lot of people. That is totally true. Totally true. PLF Radio, what is the signal on your SDR screen? Actually, well, you probably see a spot. Is that the spot from? Yeah, here we go. Let's try to move that away from the screen. So you were mentioning that there was a big fat signal earlier that I saw there that is now gone. It's one of those, I think it's one of those over the horizon radars or something. James Johnson, that's why I carry a pocket radio with a siren on it. If I get attacked, I just turn it on. Klaus John Walda, nice to have you here from the Netherlands. Pretty cool. Jerry, YouTube should get you a bodyguard. Oh man, going into the bars. It's like, yeah, I got my YouTube bodyguard. That would be something. Adesh Manar Ramkisun, nice to have you on board from Trinidad in the Caribbean. Pretty cool to have you here. JDX says, I got to fire up my grunting Yardboy 400 PE. It's been a while. Yeah, turn that thing on, man. Aerial Imaging, nice to have you here. Boyd Mason Lake, nice to have you here from Iowa. Colonel Panic, bonjour et bienvenue de la France. J'espère que ça va bien. Tarek, nice to have you here from Cairo, Egypt. Every time I see your name, I have a guy, Tarek. I had made friends with a guy named Tarek that came to the karaoke bar where I would go. Man, long time ago, was in the about 15 years ago, and we kept contact for a while. But he came from Algeria, and we lost contact mostly when he moved. He moved to Alberta because he was looking for jobs, and he thought that going to Alberta would be like the place, especially back then. The Alberta was like really, really the hot spot for work, and he left Montreal to go to Alberta because he wanted to see if he could have maybe a better life and all. We continued talking for a while, but when you talk to someone and it actually spaces more and more and more and more, you get to a point where we're not talking anymore. But great guy, was a really, really nice guy. So every time I see your name, Tarek, it always reminds me of my friend there. Maybe I'll see him some other day. Maybe I'll come back to Montreal. Carl, nice to have you on board from Indianapolis, KC7YSD. Of the Dawn, nice to have you on board from Alabama. And it's hot in Alabama. Casper Peterson, nice to have you on board, my friend. Vergalanga, are you able to pick up North Korean radio, and is it possible to pick it up in Europe? Actually, in Europe, it's very easy to pick up North Korea, much more than it is here in North America. But North Korea, the voice of Korea from North Korea, if you try regularly, you'll pick it up, definitely. But in Europe, it definitely is an easy target. A lot of people in Europe are reporting Voice of Korea from North Korea. So you got to try regularly and look at the schedules from when they transmit and try their frequencies. Here, the last time I heard it was weak, but it was there maybe about a month ago on, I think it was on 11710 at about, I'd say 1300 UT, somewhere around there, 1400. Something changed at Voice of Korea, definitely. I would say they use less power, or maybe their transmitters are kind of getting old and not as efficient. Because Voice of Korea for North Korea was an easy listening experience here many years ago. It was so easy, actually, that I always made fun of it, because I was like, yeah, we can't hear KBS World Radio South Korea because they're too concerned in keeping that same old frequency that never works. But yet, Voice of Korea from North Korea is booming here all the time. It's like, yeah, that is weird. But in Europe, you definitely should hear it quite easily. Just look at the shortwave schedules online for what times they were broadcasting to Europe. James Johnson, Chicago, 90 degrees, but not too humid. Yesterday, humidity was only 25%. Oh, that's nice. And it's hot, but it's very dry. It isn't as bad. It's not as bad. It doesn't feel that warm. William Helms, nice to have you on board from Florida. So Tarek says he's hearing it in Egypt. West of Korea, 11645, around 16 UTC. Aerial imaging. Hey, finally got a computer that I feel good enough about to get an RSP1A setup going. Do you think a Ryzen 5 and an 8 gig bar? Yeah, it's going to be fine. As the RNO and your RSP1A is going to work great on that setup. Absolutely. If you can get 16 gigabytes, don't hesitate to double that. But apart from that, even at 8, it's going to be good. Chuck, nice to have you on board from Pennsylvania. Just to give you an idea, aerial imaging. I'm running here the RSPDX on this Core i5 little mini PC, which is right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. This little box here. This little box here is an all-in-one PC. And it's a Core i5, has 8 gigabytes of RAM, and has a 256 gigabyte solid-state drive. And it works great. It works great. You got to be careful not to ask too much, because when you actually run too many things at the same time, it struggles a little bit. But just running the SDR, because that's the main idea here, I didn't want to have a full-blown PC, because I didn't want to have a big laptop or a desktop taking all the space. And I thought, one of those, I should look at one of those small, little, really small cube PCs, if you want. And I took this one, which is from Ballon, and honestly, works great. Works great. You just got to be careful not to run too many things at the same time. But it works great. So it gives you an idea that using an RSP1A or an RSPDX, you don't need that much of a powerful computer, as long as it's a dedicated machine for that. Where a really powerful computer is needed is if you want to do these spectrum recordings, for example. Now, the only computer I have that would be able to do that actually is my main laptop that I'm using for the stream right now, which is a gaming laptop. That would do it. But it would be the only PC I have here probably that's capable of doing it, actually. So it all depends on what you're also going to do with it. But the thing that will limit, so for example, here, if I want to use 10 megahertz spectrum, it's gonna kill the machine. So it's like, let me just do it here. I'll put a little audio here on what we're hearing. Let me just go here and let's, so I'm gonna go here, ZIF mode, megahertz. Let's go to 10 megahertz wide. Here we go. Now I see from 10,000 to 20,000 kilohertz. It's working. I can go and check out whatever is here.
What kind of radio? We have several kinds.
What kind of radio? What's that? 15185. So it can handle it. You see, I've got a 10 megahertz spectrum, but how to note that it has a hard time doing it? Do you notice that the edges on the right and on the left, there's the curve goes down. So here, for example, the curve goes down. Same thing happens on that side here. That is just showing you that the RSPDX and the USB ports of the device are struggling with giving enough data for everything that's in that spectrum right now. But here you see 10 megahertz right now. So these are all the signals from 10 to 20 megahertz. So, this is why a big screen is kind of cool, basically. So, it works, and it ain't that powerful of a PC. But it does have technology that is quite recent. And USB ports are 3.0, not 2.0, although the RSP devices are 2.0. So gives you an idea. I can put it back. I'm going to put it at, let's say, 3 megahertz here. Here we go. And pull this here like this. So that station, what is that station? 15185 sounds like Voice of America.
Vous aurez l'occasion d'intervenir en direct
et de pratiquer l'anglais avec
Michel
et Roger.
Nous répondrons à vos questions.
Nous vous aiderons à formuler vos phrases. Participez à Anglais Télé.
Retrouvez-nous aussi sur notre groupe Facebook Anglais Télé.
Yeah, Voice of America. from Greenville, North Carolina, in French. It's their This is Saturday, Sunday only, 20:30 to 21. So they had like a English lesson for French-speaking audiences. So, anyways, it gives you an idea that you don't need that powerful of a computer to actually run one of those. And Harry Holden, Chuck, nice to have you here from Pennsylvania. Harry Holden, you got a great question here. By the way, guys, just saying, I am 25 minutes behind in the chat. Okay. What computer specs do I need to run SDR, play the RSPDX? And do I need a laptop, a desktop? Is computer noise a problem with SDRs? So first of all, whether it's a laptop or a desktop doesn't matter. Okay. Both run an SDR well as long as it has a minimum of power to be able to run it. The noise is sometimes a problem from certain computers. So that you'll know only when you plug it in, unfortunately. So yes, there are PCs that might have problems, but if you use good USB cables that have, I have an example here. I think I do. If you're running your device, let me check it out. Okay, here. This is going to be one example. When you run your device, and here's an example. So here is, let me just unplug, plug the antenna. So here's the AirSpy HF Plus. This is an SDR. And look at my USB cables. They have cores, torrid cores or ferrites at both ends. This is your guarantee of low noise. A regular USB cable without these will probably draw a lot of noise within your SDR. But a good USB cable that has these chokes at each end will definitely make it better. From experience, desktops tend to have less noise in an SDR than laptops, but not always. I've used my RSPDX on Toshiba laptops that were perfect, the lowest noise I've ever seen. Although my Asus gaming laptop is, I've got one of those Asus tough gaming laptop. It's a little noisier. It's still very manageable for the SDR. So it's something that you have to be worried about, that you might need to find a way to make it better. But definitely the first thing is very good quality USB cables with chokes on them. That will definitely help you a lot. So some people do complain of noise. Remember also, the antenna is important. It has to be far away from the computer. So you need to run an SDR almost on an outdoor antenna so that the antenna and the computers are far apart. That will help tremendously. But like I said, you don't need a computer that's powerful. That thing here, that B-Link little computer is not very powerful as a computer. It definitely works, but it's definitely not one of those powerful computers. And as you see, I've run almost a full 10 megahertz spectrum there. Worked great. Kathleen, nice to have you here from Germany. Steven Zunker, nice to have you on board. Just purchased a Texan 990X to replace the Ethon G3. You're going to be happy. Great replacement. Everybody saying hello to Elizabeth and to Richard. PDF Radio, there's a new version of the XH Data D808. The backlight is orange, and there's a C-Wadon D808, which is the black version of the XH Data D808. Same circuit. So yeah, they I've seen that. They're pretty much the same radio, but with a few minor changes, I guess. So kind of interesting to see that they're kind of playing around with the hardware and changing the name, but pretty much you get the same device. PA1SBM, nice to have you here, Alex. No need to be sorry about being late. Nice to have you on board. Redoing the shack, it's fun from time to time to kind of just reorganize everything. Definitely helps. Catalan, yeah, that would be nice. Actually, part of it is because like the EIBI space frequency list does have some number stations, but yep, definitely would be nice to have the pre-om info on in the Fran plugin or something. Canadian Radio TV guy, does anyone know of the channel Spencer Shortwave? He moved years ago from the US to China to work as a broadcaster at CRI. He's since disappeared, hasn't posted any videos in 3 years. Yeah, I remember that. I don't know what happened. There was a guy a couple of years ago that claimed, and you don't know because you don't know if it's true or not, but there was a guy in the chat room here that claimed that he was working at CRI for a while, and suddenly someday disappeared and never came back. I don't know. Michael, nice to have you on board from Phoenix, Arizona. And official shortwave is blazing at S9 Plus, wonderful single strength. René Charbonnier from Radio Classic Sunday. Nice to have you here from the Netherlands. Always cool to have you on board. James Johnson just pulled the Kato 1103. Find to be a good sideband radio. It's a great radio, same as the Degen D 1103. Great portable. Really great. Tavik says last week a Persian number station was on for the first time. That's interesting. So there's a lot more than we actually have in our lists. I can tell you that. Niels, I have to say Texan H51X is my new love, and what a wonderful radio it is, and super fast delivery from a non-co. Very happy boy. That is soon 50 years old. Time goes fast. Yeah, and yes, the Texan H501X is definitely a very cool, very nice radio, and glad you're enjoying it. And really cool. Yeah, and non-co is amazing, and I mean the shipping is amazingly fast. Colonel Panic talking about number stations. UVB 76 reception is weird today with some sort of echo. Okay, maybe you're getting it with long path or something. Interesting. Jerry DX, remind you every year on the midwinter broadcast. Yeah, pretty much. I think that's what happened last year too. There's a lot of these things I totally forget. Jerry DX, lots of FT8 on 5313. So kind of interesting. Let me check it out here. I think I got the... I've got the ICOM on the discount. Anything here? 5313. Not hearing anything on the ICOM. So I guess let me try. No, I can go there. So. Huh. Nothing on the ICOM, at least. PLF Radio says, once I go back, I heard out of banders between the CB band and the 10 meter band today. That's cool. And 27555 is the calling frequency most of the time. Boyd, what website using for shortwave schedules? There are quite a few different websites you can go to depending on what you like. Mine is EIBI Space. I'll put the link here, WEIBI Space .de. But you can go also to short-wave.info, which is also a place to go to check out the schedules. Short-wave.info for the latest schedules. Lloyd Merrill, nice to have you here. W1LBM from Rhode Island. George, nice to have you here from Germany. DO5DAB. Nice to have you here. Hector Vasquez from Los Angeles, California. Nice to have you here. Kevin Wood, V1 TV from Nova Scotia, Canada. Soothing and relaxation music. Nice to have you here. Where are you located, my friend? X80Xer, there should be FCC approved solar panels, or at least, yeah. Solar panels sometimes can be very noisy. Torben Iversen, nice to have you here from Norway. Lots of Nordic countries friends today. Papa Krampus, nice to have you on board. John Root, nice to have you here. Gordon Goheen, nice to have you here. Shelly Sykes, nice to have you on board. Tarek, I hate Voice of Korea when they transmit on the same frequency of Radio Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. Yeah, because they're like Cuba. They don't go to the HFCC and coordinate frequencies. So sometimes they just, go on frequencies that are already used by other broadcasters. Neil Abja, nice to have you on board. Oh, that's so sad, Kevin Wood. Antenna came down and I have not had the energy to fix it. Sorry to hear that. Keys, KCA-TBY, good afternoon from Grand Rapids, where the weather is hot, but the people are always cool. Aha, I like that. M1MBZ, I was using my RSP1A with an old laptop, Core i3, and 4 gigabytes RAM, and it worked just fine. Yeah. It's when you push it to the limit to ask to get the maximum out of it that you start seeing that the power of the computer starts to be important. But for its basic use and just running it, even an old laptop works fine. Anybody that has an old laptop or an old desktop, they have no idea what to do with it. I would say just put the SDR on that one, see how it goes. You might have a new use for an old PC that just didn't know what to do with. Neelab just says, I recently get into shortwave listening. I bought a D808 and I have a question. The day I bought, I could clearly hear the air bands, but suddenly I don't hear anything, even after ATS scan. Yeah, first of all, ATS scan is not something to use on the airband. The airband and D808, the scan is so slow, you won't hear much and you'll miss out on everything. The best is to know on the airband what frequencies are active where you live, because you'll punch in directly the frequencies. Radios that have airband, the D808 works fine on the airband, but it's slow in scanning and all. And often somebody that really just listens to airband, I'll say, buy a scanner radio. You'll be a bit much happier with even an inexpensive scanner radio than one of these radios. But if you know what frequency they are in, then you can punch in the frequency. Remember, airband is not a broadcast. It's intermittent communications. It's easy for a scan to miss out all the time when somebody's talking. Make sure you know what frequencies to listen to, because I doubt there's anything wrong with your radio. I think it's really clearly just know what you can hear on what frequency in your area. Then you can punch in the frequencies directly and just leave it on one of the frequencies of, say, the local airport, and you'll hear stuff. But doing a scan is the worst thing you can do on the airband on these radios. The scan is way too slow, and it misses out on everything pretty much. Just it's better to use them, in my opinion, as receivers with frequencies that you know what they are to listen to. Carl Icon. Okay. Human 721. Nice to have you on board. Neil Abja. Well, if you don't use an external antenna, so if you use just the radio with its telescopic antenna indoors, listening when there's lightning doesn't matter. It's really when you have an outdoor antenna that it is a problem. But if you're just listening with a telescopic, or if you have an antenna indoors, it doesn't matter. Gnovke, do you know how much about crystal radios? I'm looking at getting the kit from United Nuclear and pairing it with the Texan AN200 loop antenna. But would that work? Technically, it should, because the AN200 loop, all it does is simply, make the signal stronger. But it's you'll have to tweak a lot. But technically, I don't see why a loop like the AN200 wouldn't work with a crystal kit. KC8TBY, I have an Ethon Elite Executive Portable Receiver. Although I love the radio, I find the owner's manual very difficult to understand. Anyone else suffer from this affliction? You know what's the problem with radios today? Almost all of them have banned manuals. Almost all of them have extremely simple manuals. You want to have another negative that I have of the Sangean ATOS 909X2? Who the hell designed that crappy manual that comes with it? It's horrible. It doesn't explain anything. And it just tells you, do this, do that, and this is that, and that's that. Yeah, okay. But how do I actually use it? That's where often I think, I should just sit down with the radios and create, for every radio that I own, a online YouTube manual where this is how the features work. I know that a lot of you would enjoy that. I know a lot of you would actually love to have some kind of way of understanding your radios better with that. Plus, add to the fact that we're not all, I pick up a radio when I understand immediately how things work and why, just use it. Which is not a given to everybody. And also, if you're new to the hobby, there's a lot of stuff that you're probably like, I have no clue how to use this. So it's kind of, one of those things that is, I think, plaguing a lot of receivers. Really bad manuals. So, Leonardinho, do you like Muse radio systems? What are Muse radio systems? I'm not, that brand doesn't ring a bell for me. Aerial imaging actually seemed to work quite well when you went to 10 megahertz wide. That's kind of what I want to be able to do. That's weird. Something changed. I'm trying to, I don't know. Something changed. And I can't figure out why. Oh, I know now what something changed. One of my light bulbs in the ceiling just blew out. That's what happened. Okay, I was like, something's weird suddenly. One of the light bulbs just blew out. I'm going to have to change that. Okay. So so that's kind of what I'm doing. Yeah. So you see, and that PC isn't actually that very powerful. So you don't need that big, really powerful thing to run an SDR most of the time. John Root, what is the best vertical to put on a 35 feet tower for Texan? First of all, vertical antennas for shortwave are really, really not what should be recommended. They are very noisy and they never are as good as anything else because they are too, they need to be, they can't be very long because they're vertical and they'll just collapse if they're too long. So you're better off with that tower, having some kind of wire antenna hooked to the tower and going to a tree or a pole or something else on the yard, because it'll actually be better because it'll be longer. And if you have low noise, it's going to work better. If you have a lot of noise, vertical is going to just bring a lot of noise from all around you. So it's a vertical for shortwave isn't the best that you can have. Actually, I would go way other. At 35-foot tower, I'd put a magnetic loop in that thing. That would be better than a vertical actually for shortwave. Kevin Wood, what's the target audience for Voice of America? Quebec? No, it's actually probably for French-speaking audiences in Africa. It makes me laugh because every week I stumble upon the Voice of America French, English language lessons for the French speaker. And it's just so funny. Puis avoir $5? Can I have $5? It's just like, yeah, okay. Nick Amanda, nice to have you here from Romania. What else do we have? Michael Thompson, if you optimize Windows, it will lower. Yeah, you can of course optimize the PC for. I often say if you have the money for it, I often say, why don't you just get a PC and dedicate it for just that use? That's an insider machine, so I dedicate it for insider builds. But apart from that, the majority of what that PC does is run my SDR, and I have all the decoding software, FLDG, multi-PSK, WST, X, WSJTX, something like that. And whatever I need to decode. I have Orbitron installed here for satellite tracking. It's kind of, mostly dedicated to radio, honestly. And running the SDRs, I have I can plug in the AirSpy HF Plus, and I've got SDR console also on the device, and just run my SDRs and run my stuff, my radio stuff there. It's totally dedicated for that. If I had, what is the usage of that little PC there? 80% is radio, and the 20% left is when I do some insider stuff for Windows and for my Windows Insider channel, and that's it. But 80%, at least 80%, is really radio related. So, and it's actually cool because what I like is I got a smart TV here. So when I have the onboard speakers, what's cool is that I can listen to some shortwave signal, and then I can just with the TV, I just go to YouTube app and I want to see something about radio related, for example. So I still have the sound coming out of the computer, and I can view something else on YouTube on TV with its app if I want to and stuff like that. And I just get out of the app and it's back to the computer and it's back on the SDR. So it's kind of fun to have the possibilities. The other day I was sitting here looking at the screen there for the SDR and all, and I was just thinking, man, what a great time to have the possibility and thank God I have the possibility of having this equipment here and everything. We often talk about how some people have more basic receivers, and that's pretty much the only thing they can afford. So you start looking at something like a setup like I have, and you're like, yeah, some people, somebody somewhere is going to say, well, yeah, look at that rich guy on YouTube doing stuff I'll never be able to afford. And we never have, we have to never forget about that. And often I say it on the channel, I might be doing tons of videos on the Texan H501X. It's not going to be the main focus of the channel because I got it. I'm going to go downgrade to the Texan PL330, which honestly isn't that much of a downgrade. It's actually a pretty darn good radio with a little less features and, not the same audio quality. But I want to make sure that everybody feels that they can listen to shortwave or to radio at the price that they are capable of being and afford, because like I said, not everybody's gonna, for somebody, $100 is a big stretch. Some of you have $1,000 receivers. I mean, look, I got an Icon ICRD 500 here. I got a Yaesu FT450. Yeah, I got some stuff. I got that unit in Bearcat CB here, and I've got the SDRs, and yeah, I got some cool stuff here. And I'm pretty sure that some people watch my channel and drool over just the channel. Like, look at that guy's radios. This brings me back to the 80s when I couldn't afford anything. What I had is what I had, and the only thing I could do is drool over the radios with frequency displays and think, well, one day I will have one of those. Aerial imaging, yeah, your laptop is actually more powerful than this thing. Absolutely. The Ryzen CPUs are more powerful for the same generation than the Intel. So you actually have a much more powerful device there, aerial imaging. Anthony Lefau, bonjour, bienvenue, j'espère que ça va bien. And what else do we have? Let's try to go down a little faster. Yeah, Kathleen, absolutely. A laptop on battery is the quietest thing you can have most of the time. So, Joe Tyson, I'd say you need at least an i5 class CPU. You're going to go even lower than that. I've tried my SDR Play on an old Core 2 Duo that's like more than 10 years old. And with the basic setup and using only, the basic 2 megahertz spectrum on the screen, it took a lot of resource, but it actually ran, and it ran fine. But it really depends what you want to do. Kevin Wood thinks he's going to sell his SDR IQ to finance something more current. Steven Zunker, yeah, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Dirk Boone, happy PL330 owner from the UK. Would the H501X be a worthy upgrade or companion? Here's the thing. What separates the PL330 from an H501X is mostly the Bluetooth and the better audio capabilities. And okay, let me just my phone just buzzed. Weather alert, severe thunderstorm warning. And let me just check it out here. And it's coming straight for Montreal. That's nice. What does it say? At 5:06 p.m., Environment Canada tracking a severe thunderstorm capable of producing very strong wind gusts up to nickel-size hail and heavy rain. Possible tornadoes are okay. Remember, the severe thunderstorm can produce tornadoes. Take cover immediately if threatening weather approaches. So, wow. Okay. They've just issued that not that long. And I'm looking at this, and wow, it's really adding directly towards here. So, and that's why it's so dark. I was looking outside, and it's like, wow, it's so dark. I think something's happening here. So hopefully I'm going to keep an eye on that. Severe thunderstorms, guys. Comes with the hot weather. Speak French, please. Well, la plupart des gens qui regardent l'émission sont anglophones, donc je ne parle pas trop souvent français. Mais bienvenue de la France. What else do we have? Let me try to go down faster here. So can you hear the Weather Channel right now to see what they say? Oh, yeah. Let me look. I'm going to do a little something here. Let's switch. Just 2 seconds, guys. I'm going to put the SDR on the disc on. And let's all enjoy 62550 FM. And that is on the antenna B. There we go.
2021. Ce soir et cette nuit. Nuageux, 60% de probabilité d'averse ou d'orage ce soir. Devenant partiellement nuageux après minuit. Risque d'un orage violent ce soir. Vent du sud-ouest de 30 km/h avec rafale à 50 devenant léger ce soir. Minimum 19. Dimanche, alternance de soleil et de nuages, 30% de probabilité d'averse en après-midi avec risque d'un orage. Vent devenant du sud-ouest.
They've changed the voice of the weather radio. I'll put it when it's in English. Or if they have a warning. Yeah, Paul should be just going to check it out here. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm just going to go and make sure that Paul is inside. I'll leave you with the weather for a few seconds.
Maximum 25. Jeudi soir et nuit. Nuageux avec 60% de probabilité d'averse. Minimum 14. Vendredi, alternance de soleil et de nuages avec 60% de probabilité d'averse. Maximum 26. Prévision pour Vaudreuil sous l'ange hunting donné émis par Environnement Canada à 15h45 HAE le samedi 5 juin 2021. Ce soir et cette nuit. Nuageux avec 60% de probabilité d'averse ou d'orage ce soir. Partiellement nuageux par la suite. Risque d'un orage violent ce soir. Vent du sud-ouest de 30 km/h avec rafale à 50 devenant léger ce soir. Minimum 19. Dimanche, alternance de soleil et de nuages, 30% de probabilité d'averse en après-midi avec risque d'un orage. Vent devenant du sud-ouest à 20 km/h avec rafale à 40 le matin. Maximum 33. Humidex 39. Indice UV de 8 août très élevé. Dimanche soir et nuit. Quelques nuages. Vent du sud-ouest de 20 km par heure. Minimum 23. Lundi, ensoleillé. Maximum 34. Lundi soir et nuit. Dégagé. Minimum 21. Mardi, nuageux. Maximum 30. Mardi soir et nuit. Averse. Minimum 18. Mercredi, averse. Maximum 27. Mercredi soir et nuit. Dégagé. Minimum.
Usually when the weather is really bad, they have the
Maximum 25.
weather alert stuff. It hasn't alerted there.
Probabilité d'averse.
It's weird.
14. Vendredi, alternance de soleil et de nuages avec 60% de probabilité.
So hope everybody learned its French language speaking thanks to the Weather Channel.
Trudeau à 17h à Charles. Généralement nuageux. Température 26,3 degrés Celsius. Humidité 59%. Humidex 32. Direction du vent sud-ouest.
Okay, let's go down.
Kilomètres à l'heure. Rafale de vent
Let's go down, try to catch up with everybody because I'm really far behind in the chat room. And
de Montréal, Mirabel à 17h à Charles. Généralement nuageux. 25,9 degrés Celsius. Conditions 16h à Charles. 26,4 degrés Celsius. Conditions pour cette année 7 à 17h à Charles. 26,6 degrés Celsius. Conditions pour
Scanner, nice to have you here. Simplio, Sunplio, nice to have you here. Almost time to catch some pirate activity. XH Data has a new YouTube channel. Oh, that's interesting. Juan, nice to have you here. EA3014SWL from Barcelona, Spain. Dennis Bargitzi, nice to have you on board. Paul has 16180 AM HM01 number station week. PLF Radio, how do I know if the St. Jean ATS 909X, not the X2, is deaf or not with telescopic antenna? You got to compare it with another radio using just the telescopic. Deafness is very remember that it's relative. It's not that it doesn't receive. It's just that when you are on a weak station, mostly weak station is going to show it. You'll see that the signal is going to drop off quite a lot. Oh, I hear thunder. I hear thunder. Definitely some thunder. Let's see if I could use one of my radios. Put it on AM. One of the tricks, guys, if you live in areas where thunderstorms could be very powerful, put your radio in the AM band and listen to the amount of static crashes that might be. Here's one static crash. The more static crashes, you have, the more powerful the thunderstorm is. That's lots of static crashes. Looks like a pretty good thunderstorm coming through. It's going to be a good test for my my antennas. That's interesting. They changed the voice for the Weather Channel. Sounds weird. What else do we have? Jerry has KPH 12808 from California. We have Carl Icon. I agree with Joe for airband. Find the busiest local air frequency and stay on that. Many transmissions are short, like 2-3 seconds, and scanning will miss them. Yep. And those radios are so slow in scanning that you miss a lot of stuff. Shelly says, I would love manual in Jill speak. Turning on the bandwidths. The XH data has multiple bandwidths, ranging from 0.5 or 500 kilohertz all the way to 6 kilohertz. That sounds like it's like a one of those, audiobooks, but with manuals for radio. Oh, man. Pick up your radio, put it in position where you can easily tune the bands. Okay, let's go down. Actually, shortwave signals are not really. It's not important, the polarization. You know why? Because they bounce off the ionosphere, they're kind of all messed up. The polarization at the other end, when you receive a signal from 5,000 kilometers away, and kind of not. The polarization's all messed up because of all the bounces it did and the changes it did. Mike, WDX50, waiting for the close encounters of the third kind musical signal to start coming on Shell Stevie in the background. I mean, it's like, wow. Okay, I did have a bulb that blew up. Aren't these LED bulbs supposed to last 10 years or something? Danny, Shortwave Radio DX from Yonkers, New York. Nice to have you on board. We have Jay Watterson, 69. It won't even think about drooling until Jill has Ernie in the bathtub radio behind him. Oh, man, I'd like to have one. I'd like to have one of those. Maybe next time I see one on eBay, I'm just going to okay, buy it. I want it. I mean, it is the first radio I've ever had. Kind of cute. Ham Radio Hobo. Nice to have you here from Utah, AF7J. Mobile Armored Strike Command. Boulder Hill on the line. Nice to have you here. Okay. Let's try to reach. So yes, guys, for those asking, by the way, Paul the cat is indoors. He was just looking at me like, yeah, hello there. Hello, human. So usually I have this emergency radio here. So when things go bad, I can turn this on. Okay, there is a weather alert. Let's see if the weather alert will sound off from this Midland weather monitor. I'm going to leave it on, and we're going to see if a weather alert actually does sound off to tell me that something's going to happen. So what else do we have? I mean, nickel-sized hail. I haven't seen that in a long time. I've seen some really big hail in, I don't know, in the 90s. I remember because there were tons of cars with their the windows smashed. And it was like a cloud. It went by really big hail. I remember being amazed because I was looking at the hail on my balcony and it was like, whoa, this is crazy. And what do you know? After like 10 minutes, it was over. But there were probably millions and millions and millions, if not hundreds of millions of damaged dollars of damages, because across a big part of Montreal and even South Shore, there were literally thousands of cars with the windows smashed. It's crazy. Rich, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot more to the performance of a PC than just specs and numbers. There's so much things. You can have great parts, but say, a crappy motherboard that just doesn't have good speed and good performance, and everything just is slow like a turtle. No, Paul will not be sucked out in a twister. Paul went to the vet on Monday. We had an annual visit with the shots and everything. The discount inside. The Liberty discount. I like that. I should have, because I thought about it after. It was like, I should have taken that picture of me with the discount and hold a World Radio TV handbook. Just like, the Statue of Liberty that holds the rules or the commandments. That would have been like, okay, this is Shortwave Statue of Liberty. Oh, man. Mike Jam, live radar shows about 10 minutes from Montreal. Looks bad. It's interesting because I see from the window that there's been a couple of drops, but nothing right now. Oh, weird. But it is rain. I'm hearing some drops of rain on the air conditioning, so it's raining a little bit. Paul 12040 is it's in Spanish. It's WEWN from the United States. It's the Catholic station on 12040. Somebody asked. I don't know who it was. Somebody asked on the Shortwave Facebook group. And 12040 is the Catholic station. It's not Guam. 12040 AM. Let's switch the antenna back from the discount to the loop. And go to 12040 AM. I'm not hearing it now, but that 12040 in Spanish is WEWN out of the United States. It's interesting. You know what, PLF Radio? I was listening to the broadcast. Usually they are bilingual, English, French. There is no English. Oh, wind is picking up a little bit here. What else do we have? Dennis. Love it when he speaks French. Gregory Daniels. Confirm as the AirPlay and others will run on Core 2 Duo. I am playing with the Atom. You must pare down your settings and play with screen resolution. Remote. We're using a remote desktop. I think it's starting a little more now. A little more wind and rain. So, Niels, I thought about studying a long time ago to sign up for a course in French, but I did not. But my father spoke Finnish. I wish, honestly, I would speak more languages. Like when you speak more than one language well enough, you kind of like it. I had a definite advantage with all my friends that didn't speak English. Man, I still remember that. That is the one I hated the most. Everywhere we would go when I was in school, I remember we went to Upper Canada Village in Ontario, which is, of course, kind of Canadian life from the past, basically. And we went there, and nobody spoke English. But at Upper Canada Village, no one speaks French. So everywhere we would go in school, it was like, oh, Gilles speaks. Gilles going to tell us what they're saying. Yeah, I really want to do that. So she's taking the sheep, and then she's going to shave the sheep for the wool. So, okay. Ben, elle prend le mouton et elle va tondre le mouton pour avoir la laine. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, do I really want to do this? I want to have fun like everybody else all day. It was like, Jill, can you tell us what she's saying? Hey, did I come here to be a translator? No. I came here to have fun. And I'm not having fun right now. Oh, man. KW1161, nice to have you here from Tucson, Arizona. And Christian Marcoux, yes, Paul the cat was inside. He's fine. The wind is picking up. It's starting to look more like a thunderstorm now. Rain, wind. Okay. Robert Cross. Nice to have you here. Robert Prosper. Anyone know how to get the Konicon GP5 to display time in the usual 12 hours instead of 24 hour? I find it funny when you guys say, oh, it's military time. Here in Canada, we have 24 hours clocks. Let me just check mine. Wow, that was, I don't know if you guys hear the thunder. Need to put batteries. Oh, God. Need to leave the batteries, because if I leave the batteries, they're going to drain without me even using it. That's one of the flaws of the GP5. Okay, so for the clock to display time. Okay, right now it's in 24-hour clock. What? I don't remember. Look, I'm going to keep the radio next to me because I want to go down the chat and be closer to... Oh, here it goes. Here it goes.
At 5:43 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Saturday, June 5th, 2021, a severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for Longueuil-Varennes area, Saint-Rémy area, Valleyfield, Beauharnois area, Verchères, Delaware area, and Saint John Maryville area. 17h43 à Chahut, le samedi 5 juin 2021, une alerte d'orage violent est en vigueur pour secteur de Longueuil-Varennes, secteur de Saint-Rémy.
So it's more of the South Shore right now. But hey, it works. There was a alert tone. It actually did work. Pretty cool. Oh, the CC Skywave has. Oh man, you know what? Even my unit in CB radio here has weather alert. I've never tried it. I want to try it. Sorry guys, I want to try it. Because if they do it again, I want that. I want the CB radio to do it. I've never tried it. So, put the antenna. Okay. Check it out. There we go. Turn on the CB. So the CB actually says alert. So I want to see what it's going to do. The CB radio says alert. So normally my CB radio should actually warn me. And so we're going to leave it on and see if it actually does something. So yes, the cat is safe indoors. Dave, does static crash mean that the static diminishes periodically or amplifies? Well, I don't exactly understand the question, but when you are actually using a radio, an AM radio, which is actually a very good lightning indicator, the stronger the static crashes, the closer the thunderstorms, and if you start hearing that the static crashes are getting weaker on the radio, thunderstorms moving away, and I've seen many videos, including videos of storm chasers showing that they sometimes use a AM radio because they say that the more static crashes you get, the more powerful the thunderstorm is, and it's a pretty accurate measure. So if it's constant static crashes, check your weather. Something's really bad happening. I can tell you that. Caesar. In England, certain regional BBC channels are beginning to disappear. The AM ban is being released. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of that. Really. Niels, I think French is a wonderful language. It rolls nicely on the tongue, wonderful to listen to. But if we compare with Finnish, it sounds harsh. Yeah, some languages sound harsher than others. You know, it's like for me, Norwegian, Swedish is like kind of a little hard. German is kind of very hard in the sound. French, it's probably somewhere in the middle. There's some harsher, depending on what words and what we'll say. It could be harsh at times, but it's probably definitely softer. It's interesting when you listen to music. Music is the perfect example of languages, because if you hear a song in different languages, it is kind of interesting to hear how they do it and how the pronunciation, and it's something. Art Dodd, nice to have you on board from New Jersey, K2ADC. Chuck Yunkin, get a accurate lightning alert. What is that? Kathleen, yesterday went outside, tuned the radio to 1000 kilohertz and listened to the thunder. I will upload video. Oh yeah, sure, that'd be a nice one. UFOs on shortwave. We want that. Any alien life form out there? Please do use shortwave when you come here. Oh, look at that. Thanks for sharing the insides of the H501X. Wow. That is some... Look at all the shielded circuits in there. That is nice. H501X interior. That is nice. So it isn't too bad here. I've lived through quite a few very heavy thunderstorms. This one here, at least, isn't that bad. Okay, W1161, LEDs might last 10 years, but the power supply driver is iffy. Yeah, that's what I've seen, because I don't have any LED bulbs that lasts as long as they say. William Hampton got his new Texan H501X, love it, and a lot to learn. Mobile Armored Strike Command. The eastern portion of the storm is knocking on the door of Laval. Yeah. Mike, WDX50, I have the Midland Weather Radio 2. Need to figure out how to set it so that the loud alarm doesn't go off every time there's a severe thunderstorm watch. Maybe I should read the manual again. Actually, that's the problem with these radios, Mike. You don't have a choice of a region. And because weather stations, the NOAA weather stations, just sound an alert for whatever county, and that alert is always the same thing. So it's always a tone, and it's always a bunch of data. And whatever it's in your area, or in an area a little further away, it still sounds. I don't think you can set these radios to have an alert for your area. So I still remember when you guys are talking about Paul the Cat. I still remember, I think it's last year. There's a big thunderstorm coming, and it's really getting dark. And I'm outside in the back because I'm calling Paul the Cat because he's outside somewhere. And I see him really coming slowly because it's not raining or anything. It's just dark. But he's like in the neighbor's yard, and it's like just very slowly. Then he sits down and he looks at me like, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "You better come home. It's going to be bad soon." Then there's a lightning and a big thunder. And he just gets up real fast, looks at me like, "What the hell was that?" Starts running like crazy towards home. I was like, "Told you there was something bad coming." Oh, man. Yeah, the Texan is 501X. I love it. I love it. Dave, from the picture, H501 seems to have PLL. How does that differ from the 330? It differs because it doesn't mute when you tune. It's giving the radio the possibility to just smoothly tune around when you actually tune the bands, where the 330 mutes at every step. That's a big difference for a lot of people. Yep, nickel size hail can actually do a lot of damage. RJ Dakota, cat love to watch a storm, but our big dogs are afraid of the storms. It depends on each animal. Paul the cat will not be afraid, but he will look. But there are cats that are just going to go hide under the bed. It's like crazy. I mean, Samplio, we listen to shortwave. And in the summertime, when we hear static crashes like in the tropical bands or the 49-meter band, they can be coming from stations. From stations. They can be coming from 1,000 miles away. They can be somewhere else. They might be in the U.S. There might be a series of thunderstorms, for example, in the state of New York or Vermont, while here we don't have anything. And you will hear static crashes from that coming over because the static crashes are going to propagate like shortwave signals. They're going to bounce off the ionosphere. You can sometimes hear, when conditions are right, you can sometimes hear static crashes from thunderstorms in the Caribbean. I mean, it's crazy. VT Radio, nice to have you on board. Paul, AA1SU from Vermont. Nice, a long nap. Working the Kentucky QSO party. Not too many of them on the air. Mike WX50. Jill just want to have fun. That's the new version of a popular song. Instead of girls, it's going to be Jill just want to have fun. Yeah. I'm not going to sing it because it's going to make a copyright strike, but I would have a radio version of this. Somebody take a Texan H501 and have fun all afternoon. I want to be the one with so many radios. Jill wants to have fun. There we go. Blind Picker. Nice to have you on board, Rob. Yeah, here in Canada, also 24 hours, pretty much. Robert Prosper. I checked the instruction and no hint as to how to have time. Yeah, I know there is a way to do it, but I think it has to do with the settings. I think it has to do with the medium wave settings. If your medium wave settings are in 9 kilohertz or 10 kilohertz, that is switching from the AM, PM, or the 24-hour clock. A lot of radios actually do that, which is sad because it doesn't give the user the flexibility of doing whatever they want. They have to play with the steps. Try something, Robert. Check the instructions on how to change the step size of the medium wave band from 9 to 10 kilohertz, and look at the clock if it changes. Icadarius, nice to have you here. Simply, try the weather alert on my CC Skywave SSB. That thing will get your attention. I'm gonna have to try that out. I need to try. I remember the first weather alert radio I've had was a Radio Shack Pro 92 trunk scanner. And that one was cool because, you know, they have a tone for the alert, but they have bursts of data. That data from the weather station actually gives you what type of alert it is. And on the Pro 92, it would tell me, you know, when it was on, I would leave it the alert on. It would say severe thunderstorm, tornado watch, severe, snowfall or whatever, or, you know, snowstorm. It was really nice because it actually told you exactly the nature of the alert, which was nice. Neil says, I actually like thunderstorms, but a friend is so scared of thunder. She goes, oh, man. You want to have a quick funny story here, guys? So my my niece, one of my nieces, is totally afraid of thunderstorms. And I think, you know what? I'm not, it comes from, I think, when I was a teenager, me and my niece, she would often come over and we'd be together, and, you know, she liked her uncle a lot, and we would have fun together and, you know, do all sorts of things. And together we would go up north with my dad. So and some of you probably have been in that situation for sure. You know, you're on the highway and a thunderstorm goes through and it rains so heavy that everybody just stops. And I remember it was bad. It was really bad on that highway that time. And I was about 14, so my niece was about 11. And my niece was 11, 10 maybe. I was an uncle at a very, very young age. I remember she looked like scared like crazy. And I mean, it was impressive. My dad actually stopped under a bridge, so it was less of a problem. But I mean, everybody stopped on the highway. It was so bad you couldn't see anything. But anyways, about 10 years ago, she lives out in Berthier, which is an east end outside of, you know, in a little distance from Montreal. And she is totally scared of thunderstorms. Huge thunderstorms arrive, a line of thunderstorms, and where she lives, it was really bad. And her husband is gone to work. She's alone with the kids, and she is going crazy because it's really bad. She hides in a closet, but the doorbell rings. So it's like, I got to go see what's happening. Lightning hit the neighbor's house, and part of it's on fire. And the neighbor is so stressed with what's happening that when he rang the doorbell, he's actually naked because he was taking a shower. And it's like, my niece is like, you know, telling me that, and I'm laughing, and she says, it's not funny. I said, I'm sorry, but I find it totally funny. I know that it was not a cool situation, but it just makes me laugh when you talk about it. And it's like, it's not funny. Thunderstorms are bad. Man, some of those stories sometimes. Yep, there's a lot of UFOs in shortwave. Franco AC, anyone else unconvinced with the MLA30 loop? I see some guys using them in their lounge, yet I've got mine 10 feet in the air outside and it amplifies a load of noise with every signal. That's because it's in a noisy situation. The problem isn't the MLA30. The problem is in where you positioned it. Like I said, it's not a miracle antenna, but it does a darn good job. The MLA30 is excellent at what it does. But if you put it in a very noisy place, you're not going to get good signals. It's the positioning that's important. 10 feet in the air doesn't matter. That's not a way that the antenna gets more or less noise. It has to be as far away as noise sources as possible, like every antenna. But I bet you that if you would put a wire there, you would get even less signals than the MLA30 is actually giving you there. The MLA30 is amazing at what it does, but it's not a miracle. And if you have too much noise, it's possible that it's not going to help you out. And it's not the MLA30 is the problem. It's really the positioning and the amount of noise and what type of noise you got around you. Very important to put it at a proper place. Change its position. Put it somewhere else. And make sure that when you set it up, that you put it and rotate to the lowest noise level. You can't just stick it there and here's the antenna. You put it there and you look at your radio and rotate it so that you have the least amount of noise. Remember, it's an amplified antenna. Might sound noisy. It's not. It's not. It's because it's amplifying everything. And if there's a lot of noise, it's going to amplify the noise. That's what an amplifier does on the radio frequencies. Find the best spot possible. Change it from where it is to some other spot. Because I can tell you, a lot of people, their shortwave listening, including here, was saved with the fact that the MLA30 got a lot more. Remember that noise is not the problem of the MLA30 also when people say noise. You know, when I see people complaining of noise on the MLA30 when compared to the U-loop, you know what? The U-loop is not amplified. It's actually deaf compared to an MLA30. And I saw a lot of reports and a lot of people that tested both and tell you the U-loop is deaf compared to an MLA30 because the MLA30 amplifies. So you have the impression that it's a quiet antenna. No, it's because when it's less sensitive, you'll have less noise too. It all goes together. I'm not saying a U-loop is bad now. What I'm saying is that the MLA30 amplifies, it'll amplify the noise too. It's the signal to noise you got to check. Not the fact that you plug it in, it's like, oh, that's noisier than the U-loop. No, have you checked the noise to signal ratio? Not the basic noise. That's not what you're checking. It's the signal to noise ratio that is important. Okay, the one that you have, James Johnson, you can set it to your county. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. Because this one doesn't. But okay, in your case, there's a specific way to set it up. Okay, cool. This one does not. My first radio I remember having was a 1956 Westinghouse H74 2T4. Dad traded something for it at work. Kept me company when I was sick at home from school. Cool. Okay, so the new ones probably. Yeah, it's so weird here that I don't understand why you ran into that problem, Tristan. What shipping did you actually choose? Because I mean, I got it here in Quebec. Why shouldn't it go to Newfoundland? I don't get it. David KJ4CMY says, shouldn't static crashes be altered at the border? Yeah, we stop all shortwave broadcasts at the border. Vojislav, nice to have you on board from Serbia. I hear some station on 5900 that is playing Brother Stare. Yeah, that's a broadcast that usually is, I believe, relayed from the Bulgaria transmitter site. Lobo Perkovsky, nice to have you here. 3 cats and a kitten. Cool. 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 Okay, it depends probably on the type of weather radio you've got. It depends on the type of weather radio. That one's a basic one that I got here. William Hell should have asked a teacher for a few bucks. Oh, man. Yes, DX is safe. Take care, Tom DX, sir. Oh, the Gmail. I don't have a PayPal for the Gmail. I don't think so. I need to check. I've got, I'll check that out later. Yeah, I might have a official shortwave Gmail. Did I ever do that? I don't remember ever doing that, though. So, because usually I get an alert here. So if I don't get an alert, maybe you should remove the sending to that Gmail, because it could be somebody else that has done something. But no, really, it should be me. So I'm going to check into that. Okay, and I'll come back to you. Paul, I received my first mailed QSL card in 30 years yesterday. Wow, pretty cool. And it came from email report in April to a 10-meter CW beacon in Alabama. Cool. Yes, I've been to Repentigny. Absolutely. Jerry X. Yeah, Kamaxi 76. You got to be careful with the lightning stuff, for sure. Yeah, he is lucky, absolutely. Because, I mean, one of the things I still remember learning from reading about thunderstorms and stuff, it was like, yeah, you better not take your shower when there's a thunderstorm. It's not a good idea. Jared X uses the MLA30 indoors next to a window and get phenomenal reception. It's really the positioning of the antenna. It's amazing. It's really the positioning, because the MLA30 is an amazing antenna. Sunpleo, my wire is strung weird from radio up to window pane, takes a left to middle of the window pane and 45 degrees horizontal to the middle. The important thing is that it works. If it works, just great. Radio Dog just did a review of the MLA30. Was not that impressed with the performance or quality, build quality. Maybe he is in a low noise area. It all depends, Arthur's Alley Crafters, on what are you expecting of the MLA30. When somebody tells me I have, a beverage and I pod that MLA30 and it's crap compared to my beverage. Hello. If you live in a quiet environment, a magnetic loop is useless if you have a lot of space for wires. Because in low noise, of course, 100 feet of wire is better than MLA30. A dipole is better than MLA30. I've said that so many times. But the MLA30, when you are in a noisy place where a wire brings you more noise than anything else, now you're going to have something that might help you. And there's too many people not understanding that. I saw a review on one channel where the guy says, wow, that is so crappy. My 250 feet of wire is better. You obviously don't understand anything about antennas and radio, because now you're crapping out an MLA30. So some of your viewers are going to say, well, that's a bad antenna. No. It was important to mention that a 250 feet wire in a quiet place is definitely better than an MLA30. That is testing without knowledge, and I hate that. I got a W6 LVP loop. I get bashed all the time. Well, the expensive loops are much better. Hey, I got a darn W6 LVP loop that I paid my ass off, and I can tell you that I would never have purchased it when I got the MLA30. Not worth it. Not worth it for the so minute and very small difference. I would have gotten 10 MLA30s I could have put everywhere instead. The thing is, it's all a question of the knowledge you have to try to, compare an MLA30 to something. A long wire beats the MLA30. Yes. That's why the first thing I say to anybody that's new in the hobby, get yourself a length of wire, put it outside, and see what happens. Start with that. That's the first thing that is going to be interesting. And if your noise level is low where you live, you're going to be amazed at what 50 feet of wire does. But if you put a wire outside, it's like, well, I got just noise. Then the MLA30 is the next choice. Because if there's a possibility of something, MLA30 is going to be probably your best bet. And the thing is that in that best bet, it doesn't mean that it is going to help. And you got to be, every time I talk about it, it's like, it's not a miracle antenna. But it does a darn good job at what it is for the price paid. That's the thing. Third, Ferguson. MLA30 is a great deal for what you get. Absolutely. That's it. Like David says, more noise, but even better signals, better reception. That's the thing. Mike Jam, okay, will do. But try different places, try different orientations. The MLA30 is really an amazing antenna. I can tell you that. Paul, I'm lucky to have a mini balcony on the second floor where I can easily reach out and rotate the MLA while looking at the waterfall. I'm looking at to mod it with at least better coax. Yeah, honestly, it's mostly a question of maybe having connectors and having the possibility of adding maybe something you like more, but you won't see a difference in changing the coax. I already have seen so many videos of people doing it. No difference. What comes with it is fun, honestly. I would do it mostly for the convenience if you want to have, a proper connector, like something like a BNC or whatever. But if you do buy and change everything for a better coax, you won't see a difference. I can tell you that. Niels Pedersen, battery backup system on the Texan H501X is nice, and that you have a slider to choose which battery it could run on, A or B. Yeah, it is nice. Absolutely. And, it gives you more capabilities. You can run the radio longer. Joe Michaels, when should you use a long wire Ballon? You know what? It depends. For some people, it actually helps even in reducing the noise, and for some it doesn't. It depends on. It really depends, because what a Ballon does is it's balance the impedance so that it actually works for example, a 50 ohm input of a radio. So in some cases it helps. In some cases, I have one here that I had for the sloper, and with or without, I'd see no difference. It depends on the setup, and it depends on how you plug that antenna to your radio. Really, Jerry? Almost got killed by lightning twice? Wow. Yeah, today, yeah. But we have a lot of old houses here, which are all still metal. Radio Telescope, M0 ISA. Nice to have you on board, my friend, from the UK. Franco AC, thanks, guys. I've rotated the loop while listening in. I just think it's my location. I'm in a busy town center with a lot of noise. I'll try moving it further away from the house. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't need that much. Sometimes it just needs to be 2 feet away. You know, a great example here, Franco. I tried my loops in the backyard balcony and on the front balcony. On the backyard balcony, I get crappy performance. But on the front balcony, it works great. So you see that there's definitely a difference where you're going to put it. Trustin, use default shipping standard. Yeah, I think that's why it didn't want to ship. I used the FedEx expedited shipping. So maybe that's what made a difference for sending the radio. It's expensive, but you're going to get it in 2 days, 3 days max. JDA Dakota says, seems like the MLA30 is more useful in a suburban environment where you can get a lot of noise. That's the job of the MLA30 or any magnetic loop antenna, actually, is when it's noisy. And it's great for that. But if you live in a very quiet space, it's a long wire is going to be better, honestly. Tim Max says, I got 275 feet dipole, north-south, and fed 500 feet wire, east-west, using a phaser. Cool, because you live in a very quiet environment. Vicky Pelletier, bonsoir, j'espère que ça va bien. Est-ce que la pluie affecte la réception lors de l'écoute radio? So does rain affect reception? On shortwave, no. Rain, snow, cloudy, sunny. On shortwave frequency ranges, no. But the higher you go in frequency, yes, you start getting an effect. So if you go into VHF range and UHF range is even worse, yes, the weather starts affecting your distance of reception. So there's all sorts of things that can happen. And the higher in frequency, the more the weather has an effect. But below 30 megahertz in the shortwave, medium wave range, doesn't have any effect at all. Charity X, always follow WWM, WIHIP wire, and then the MLA30. What is that? WWM? Whip. Okay. Whip, wire, and the MLA. Oh, okay. WWM. Whip, wire, and MLA30. Okay, I get it now. Doesn't get it first. KW1161. Thing I like most about the MLA30 is that it is very portable. Absolutely, it is very portable. And you can easily power it. Danny Shortwave likes the MLA30 for travel. You can set it up anywhere, minimal equipment. Use an old broomstick and tiki torch spike on a last trip. Absolutely. It's a great antenna for just like, little quick de-expedition somewhere. Somebody says wire antenna works well. Hold a wire connector, clamp thingy. An inch off the telescopic whip. Yep. Horizontal Croucher's Kitchen. MLA30 was the best addition to my shack in years, and the loop survived a brutal, harsh New England winter. Hey, mine is at its second Canadian winter. The export. Conicom saying that GP7 may not be released until the end of July. It's possible. It's possible. Lacey, yeah, it is installed. It's on the it's on my discount right now. But take expedited shipping. It's I think it's $59. It's expensive, but you're gonna get it in 3 days, and I'm sure they're gonna ship it. Take the expedited shipping. Christian Marcoux loves the MLA30, amplifies noise when there's nothing on that frequency, but I picked up so many frequencies I would not have with the telescopic. It's really a signal to noise ratio is what we need to look at. And I think too many people are stuck on, when I plug the MLA30, the noise goes up. Yeah, it does. It's normal. It's not a problem. It's not because it's a noisy antenna. Actually, the amplifier on that antenna is actually very low noise, but it's going to amplify. It amplifies everything it receives. Yeah, it's going to amplify some of the noise, but it's going to amplify even more the signals you want to hear, and that's what you want. Doesn't matter the noise floor. If the signals you want to receive are much better, it's really signal to noise ratio. And a lot of people don't understand that. I see many people with U-loop saying, well, the MLA30 is too noisy. I think you haven't tried it well, because it's probably not too noisy, honestly. It's just that you plugged it in, you saw a lot of noise, and you're like, oh, wow, that thing is so bad compared to U-loop. Yeah, because the U-loop is a passive antenna. It does a job okay at what it does. Once again, it's deaf compared to MLA30. It's not amplified. It's not amplified. How the hell is that? I hear screaming inside. What else do we have? M1 and BZ, sometimes simply using a coaxial choke can cut noise from the coaxial feed into the radio. Yep. Depends on the type of antenna and how it's installed. Yep. There's a lot of other things you can try, that's for sure. Chastang had a Midland weather radio, but not sure where it is now. Very loud alerts. Yeah, outdoor antennas, usually you want to disconnect them. That's for sure. For sure. Simply, what's that subtle whistling type noise we sometimes hear on signals while it's fading? Yeah, I would guess probably what you're mentioning here is that sometimes when a radio receives a lot of strong stations and station is fading, you're hearing kind of a little whistle in the background. That's actually probably what you're hearing there, and that's my guess, because I think I understand what you're saying. Is that your receiver is actually, the electronics is struggling with a lot of strong signals around it. So there's a little bit of spurious signals that sound like a whistling that might be on the fading signals. So that could be what's happening. Chastang forgot to unplug a weather radio while I went out of town. An alert went out, and when I got home, I could hear it whine. I was in the driveway. Neighbors were happy I returned to turn it off. Oh, God. Man. Yep, William Helms, absolutely. Iron pipes and stuff. You got to be careful. Got to be careful. Jerry X, if you hear more noise with the MLA30 is doing its job. Yep. Canadian Radio TV guys, so far my MLA30 survived one Alberta winter. Find the MLA30 loop performs better in terms of signal to noise ratio in the summer rather than in the winter. Kind of an interesting observation. Really? You know what's tough on that observation? Winter and summer propagation are different. And so one thing to observe there is you'll have a tendency to listen to lower frequencies in the winter, which tend to be noisier in general. So it could be simply the fact that you're listening to the spectrum where it's possibly noisier because we listen to lower frequencies when the nights are long. It could also have to do with, let's face it, when it's really cold, our power grid is like pulled to the max. So all around us, the power grid might actually be doing so much noise that it doesn't do in the summertime. So it might have to do with it's an interesting observation. I don't think I've seen that difference here or not noticed it. Maybe this simply has to do with winter has more noise around you than summer. And so the MLA30 picks up more noise. I would guess. Radio TV guy says, by the way, I heard Radio is changing its voice system, and Montreal is the first one, I believe, to use the new system. We don't get it here. Yeah, I was so surprised to hear the voice earlier. It's like, this is a totally new voice for me. It sounds it actually sounds.
Environment Canada has issued a squall watch at 5:37 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Saturday, June 5th.
This voice, honestly, sounds closer to when I listen to the Vermont. It's a Plattsburgh, New York. No, it's a Burlington, Vermont NOAA weather station on 162,400. That sounds
for potential squalls.
like the U.S. NOAA weather station.
Seek safe harbor if underway. Consider delaying or postponing travel.
It was more of a kind of a standard male voice before. And the French one, it's funny because it sounds less Québécois French and more standard French. The other one sounded more Québécois French, which is kind of interesting. It was surprised when I turned it on. I was like, what the hell is that voice? First time I hear that. So definitely new voice on the Weather Radio Canada stuff. So, Broad Skilling, hey, nice to have you here. Trouble with the Seacrane shortwave last week. Hard to do shortwave in a hotel with extended antenna. Yeah, hotels and everywhere, it's like there's so much stuff going around. It might be difficult to DX in a hotel room, honestly. What you should do, well, the Seacrane doesn't, unfortunately, the Skywave problem is it doesn't have an external antenna jack, but there's still a way to do it. I think the best bet it's like to take the radio and move away from the hotel instead of being in the hotel room. And try to find a spot where it's quieter. But hotel shortwave listening is definitely a tough one. Chastang, did anyone have a weather radio that got spurious signals and set the alarm off? Sometimes mine would just sound off, or else NOAA guys were just messing around. Look, it's not impossible. Maybe it could be local. If you live next to very strong local FM stations, it's not impossible that maybe it's the weather radio actually is being overloaded. It's not impossible. Canadian Radio TV guy getting real dark here as well, expecting thunderstorms. So yeah, that voice does sound very similar to the NOAA weather radio voice. Absolutely, it's totally like that now. And it wasn't before. It didn't sound the same. Canadian Radio TV guy says it's the same voice that used to be used for NOAA. The name of the TTS voice is actually Tom. So that standard male NOAA voice is very familiar. Yep. Because it was very different before. Because we couldn't even compare it. If I go to, look at that. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go on 162.550, which is the Montreal one. in FM mode. FM. Let's put ourselves on the discount. Oh, and the discount isn't plugged in anymore. Darn it. Wait, I'm going to plug in the discount again. We're going to compare the voices. Okay, so this is
6. Wednesday night, clear, low 10.
the Canadian one.
Thursday, a mix of sun and
The
clouds.
one in Montreal.
High 24. Thursday night, cloudy periods with 30% chance of showers. Low 12. Friday, a mix of sun and cloud with 30% chance of showers. High 26. Forecast for Richelieu Valley, St. Hyacinthe, issued by Environment Canada at 3:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Saturday, June 5th, 2021. Tonight, cloudy 60% chance of showers or thunderstorms this evening, becoming partly cloudy after midnight. Risk of a severe thunderstorm this
Now,
wind south on Wednesday night, partly cloudy. A chance of showers. Highs around 80. Lows
that's
in
the one
50s.
from
Chance of rain 40%. Thursday through Saturday, partly cloudy. Highs in the mid-70s. Lows in the lower 50s. The south with a north lake chance, including the Champlain Islands.
interesting. I'm having a hard time receiving the.
Wind 5 to 15 knots, becoming south. Mostly cloudy.
So that's
Scattered showers and
Burlington, Vermont.
in the evening. Then scattered showers with isolated thunderstorms overnight. Some thunderstorms may produce Tuesday night.
That's the one from Montreal.
Low 18. Wednesday.
Kind of
showers.
interesting.
High 26. Wednesday night, clear, low 11. Thursday, sunny, high 25. Thursday night,
Kind of
cloudy
interesting. Pretty good. The voice changes surprised me today. Totally. Can tell you that. So Tom and Paul. Tom is the weather. Paul is the current time. Okay. Interesting. William Helms. I was so stupid once when I was on the phone during a storm with a girlfriend. Oh yeah, when phones were on the line. Yeah. Oh man. Pretty amazing. Keegan, wish I knew sooner. I could record it before the change. Chastank, I had science teacher in high school that I called him Tornado Tom. Always remembered that for some reason. Canadian Radio TV guy always unplugs the power supply and disconnect the MLA30 from our radios during thunderstorms. Yeah, I think that's a good thing to do. Honestly, any outdoor antenna, anyways, should be unplugged. Tristan, the Windy app for Android is great in showing worldwide lightning strikes and also weather radio. Weather radar, sorry. Cool. Mark listened to 9670 from Germany last night, but had to escape my plasma generator. So went outside back of my garage with my PL880. Yeah, sometimes we got to move away. Alligator clip to my 20-foot aluminum ladder hanging horizontal, and it worked great. Look, it's an antenna. Anything metal is an antenna. You just try it. Plug it in and see what happens. So it's pretty interesting. Bob Lewin, nice to have you here from New Jersey. You know, it's kind of interesting. I was so surprised to hear that. I was not expecting a new voice on the NOAA weather station, or the Canadian weather station, actually, Environment Canada. Tony Turtle, always unhook antennas before the storm. If we touch the antenna during a storm, it causes more potential difference. Track and strike. You know, that said, let's be fair here. In a thunderstorm, the risk of your antenna being hit by lightning is very close to zero, and very few, not zero, but very few hams actually have that happen. But remember that you don't have to have a direct hit to have damage. Remember that a lightning strike that would be, 100 feet away, the magnetic field around it is way strong enough to induce currents in your antenna cables and blow out the outputs of your antenna in the radio. So if it's a transceiver or whatever, it can blow out your transceiver or your receiver. And it does not have to touch. Just being close enough, that is enough to make your antenna or your receiver go zero. Totally. Because it doesn't happen very often that a lightning strike does strike an antenna. But just very close is enough for that to actually be a problem. Let's check the weather here because I think there's still some weather alerts. It's raining. Radar. Let me check that out here because I'm getting more weather alerts here. It's one of those nights of activity. For a weather buff, it's kind of cool. I always liked weather and thunderstorms and checking that. Thunderstorm warning at 6:34 p.m. That's only 3 minutes ago. Environment Canada meteorologists are tracking a severe thunderstorm capable of producing very strong wind gusts, nickel-sized hail, and heavy rain. So once again, this is effect for Montreal Island area and Longueuil. So let me check out the radar again. And yeah, look at that. That's definitely it's really a line of thunderstorms that just keep crashing into the island of Montreal. Pretty crazy. And more to come. There's more afterwards. So I guess we're in a little moment of bad weather. James Johnson, antenna don't get struck by lightning much, but when it does, that should be an MLA30. Actually, an MLA30 has less chances of being hit because the way that it is as an antenna, and its shape and the fact that it's not very big, you probably have more choices if you have a big tower with verticals and stuff like that. Those that are hit are probably those that have towers. Those that have really huge towers next to the house with the antennas on top have probably way more chances, and especially if you live in a very flat area with not a lot of trees around. Pretty crazy. RJDA Dakota lost a few over-the-air TV sets that way. Magnavox and a Panasonic went down from electrical storm several decades ago. Wow, crazy. KW 1161, when it comes to lightning, I'm like that old hee-haw song. If it weren't for bad luck, I would have no luck at all. But, better be safe than sorry. Just disconnect the antenna, that's for sure. That's for sure. It's the best thing to do because you never know. And like I said, just a lightning strike close is enough. But if you have a portable radio with just a telescopic in your house, you can continue listening to it. If your radio suffers problems, you probably are also suffering as a person from what happened. That's for sure. Hey, you guys, just want to show something here. Some of you like the printed stuff. If you guys want to have a little bulletin here, the British DX Club actually has the A21 season schedules printed that you can actually order. It's all the English language schedules by Tom. Some people like to have printed stuff. Actually, you know what? I found it cool. When I got the little booklet with the printed schedules, it made me think of the 80s when I would get books and stuff over the in my mailbox. It's 8 pounds, I think it is. So, anyways, it's or $8, something like that. Really, really cool if you want to have the schedules. Of course, they're not going to be updated, so that's the sad part. But for the most part, it should be, still very accurate. At least 75 to 80% accurate by the end of the schedule season. I kind of like it. Even has the DX show listing. So British DX Club, just go to their webpage and check it out. You can order it from the British DX Club. It is US. So, okay, here it goes. In Europe, it's US $6. For the world, it's US $7. So, and they'll send you that. And it is very quick. About a week. I think it took a week for it to arrive here. And you'll have all the schedules, including the DX show listing at the end. So kind of cute. If you're looking for a little something to have in your hand that you can bring with you when you want to listen to Shortwave. And it's British DX Club broadcasts in English. And it's the A21 season from April to October 2021. It's kind of cool. Neil says, little sad that the Texan H501X does not have SD card recording. Maybe the Texan H501X would have cost a bit more, but I had paid for that feature. Yeah, same here. I think that would have been such a cool feature to have. And I would have paid more also. You would have said it's $25 more. Hey, $25 more. Okay. But I can record on SD card. Oh man, that would have been so lovely. So lovely. It would have made the H501X the killer radio you want to have, honestly. So, Chaz Tank misses the swag different radio stations used to mail out. Yep, good old days. All the stuff you could have. It's pretty cool. $8 US, Joe Tyson. Okay. So it's kind of cool. If you want to have a little printed copy of something, why not? Yep. You got to update that Skywave schedule all the time. For sure. X80Xer one time, my dad, W9JF, had to have our TV set demagnetized after a thunderstorm messed up half of the picture on the screen. Wow. Trevor, nice to have you here from Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. SV O'Rourke, nice to have you here from Hawaii. Finally got a Saturday off. Great show. Thanks. Nice to have you here. Man, that's crazy. So, pretty cool. So it's that time, guys. I'm sorry. Yes, but I'm going to go and take it easy for the rest of the evening. Do some shortwave listening. And hope that you enjoyed the show today. It was fun to do. We will be back at the regular schedule on Wednesday at 0 UTC, 20 hours or 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And next Saturday, of course. Hope that you enjoyed the show today. It was fun to be here and have fun with all of you guys. And yeah, I know it's sad, but you should all do an experiment. Try to talk. Pretend you're doing a show and talk for 3 hours and let me know how it goes. You're going to see that it's quite a event, and at some point you're a little tired. And it's not because you're not having fun. I mean, I'm having fun, but it gets to a point where, you know what, I just want to relax now. It's not because I don't like you guys, but hope you enjoyed the show. And stay safe, everybody. Love you all, and hope you enjoyed the show today once again. From the wonderful shortwave capital of the world, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Take care, my friends. Stay safe. And yes, let's end with the joy of the Moscow Knights. Let's go to Moscow Knights. So that you guys are going to be happy that I ended properly. And so stay safe, everyone. Be looking at the weather since we still are in a weather warning or weather watch here. Stay safe. Take care. Have fun listening to the radio, guys. From the good old days of Radio Moscow World Service. Stay safe, my friends. Love you all. Take care.